Hey chiropractic family, Dr. Derek here. We want to run through your traction with you so you have a full understanding of what's going on, how to do it, why it's important. So we're using what's called a Denneroll, and you're going to get a box just like this, or you have already received this box. And when you open this box, inside there's going to be two things. First, you're going to have the Denneroll, so you can take that out of your plastic. This is what you're going to use for your traction. Also inside of here, show you what we got here. Basically you have your kind of guide that they give you. So inside you're going to have your guide. It kind of goes through everything that the Denneroll does, shows you some pictures of x-rays with and without the Denneroll, explains all that. So make sure you run through all of this so you're fully aware of what's going on. On here it also talks about the different neck positions, which I'll run through with you as well with Dr. Janelle in a minute. There's a lower, there's a middle, and there's an upper position. This talks about how you should get off. We'll talk about that when we go through this as well. This talks about the normal spine. On the back of this form, I'll kind of come in close and tight so that you can see this. But basically here you can see there are multiple rows, 1 through 50. These basically equate to weeks. So here it says date. What I'd like you to do on this is tick off how many times you've done it in the week so you have an idea of how many days a week you've actually been doing it. And for that first week, you're going to do 3 minutes. Okay, so 3 minutes every single day, and you tick off how many days a week you did. Now, some of you may not be able to do it completely 3 minutes. Most of you will, but some of you may not be able to. So here it's actual time. So let's say you get down maybe on the 12th week, and it's kind of a struggle to get to 11 minutes, and 10 minutes is your limit at that time. Then okay, you tick off how many days you did it in that week, and then on this column here, actual time, you'll put 10 minutes instead of 11. So that's basically how that works. And then when you come in for your progress evaluations, we're gonna ask you how many days a week are you doing it, what's your timing like, and by you doing this, you'll have a good understanding of where you're at and how frequently you're doing it, how much time you're getting in on that. So make sure you run through this, make sure you keep this. This is a bit of your record with that. Now, a little bit more about what the traction does. The traction is really important. It's a huge part of your corrective process. First of all, the adjustments are super, super important. That's the most critical thing we got to do with you. But the traction adds on to those adjustments drastically. And it's working on your spine, the tissues around your spine, your nervous system in different ways. So the adjustment's a high amplitude, very quick thrust into the spine to correct those subluxations, open up that nervous system, stimulate the brain, etc. The adjustment does something kind of similar, but it's a much more slow process. So we are leveraging on this concept called creep. And basically what creep is it states that when a tissue is under stress for a sustained amount of time, the tissue will respond to that stress. So I'll show you on the spine what we mean here. Basically, when we have, say, someone's global subluxations in their spine are something like this. This is, remember, normal curve in the neck, and this is a straightening of that cervical lordosis. What happens here is these ligaments and muscles and tissues, tendons, all of that stuff here on the back of the spine become elongated and stretched and weak. And then the front tissues become tight and contracted, adhesions build up in those tissues and so on. So when we get that traction roll into here and we lay back in a gravity environment like this, we're going to be putting that traction roll through here. That's going to help to open that spine up on the front, elongate those tissues, the muscles, the ligaments, tendons, etc. And it's going to allow for these tissues in the back, when we get doing some exercises and stuff with the adjustments as well, to shorten and contract and get stronger. So that's the idea, is that when you do that traction, we're going to help to recreate that curve along with the adjustments. So this is really, really important, and it can add so much to your care. Simply put, the people that do their traction, we see far greater results than the people that don't do their traction. So you must be doing your traction ideally every single day. Do your best to do it as much as you possibly can. Set a timer, set a reminder, set something to where you can actually be reminded to get your traction done. I tell people to make a habit out of it. Maybe set it next to your bed. When you wake up in the morning, you do it. Or right before you go to bed, you do it. Now, you're going to be setting a timer when you do it so that you don't stay on there too long or you get up too early. So simply put, use your smartwatch or your phone and set a timer. If you're at 3 minutes, Boom, you get on there, 3 minutes, done, you get off. 10 minutes, done, you get off. If you don't and you fall asleep on the traction, you wake up an hour later, it's probably going to hurt. So don't do that. Make sure to set a timer and set a reminder for yourself every single day, or put it next to your bed. Do something to create a habit. What else? You're probably going to be a little bit sore at certain points. Some of you are going to be a little more sore than others. Soreness, achiness, that's perfectly fine. That's okay. That tells you your tissues are changing and that you're improving, and that's what we want. So that's okay. That doesn't normally last the whole time. Maybe the first several times you do it, first couple weeks, maybe periodically throughout as you increase timing and create more change in the tissues. Some people may have some pain, some headaches, sharp shooting numbness. It's very, very rare, but if you do have that, then just stop what you're doing, talk to us about it, make sure that you let us know so we can figure out what's going on and see if we need to adapt or change or do anything along those lines. So remember, just stay consistent. Make sure you do it consistently. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon, right? Don't jump time either. Don't go from 3 minutes to 10 minutes. Go 3 minutes to 4 minutes, 5 minutes, and follow the form there, because it will tell you what is best for the tissues that hold the spine together, what's best for the spine. So make sure you're doing that consistently with the chart. Try not to jump ahead. Can you do it twice a day? Yes, if you feel like it. You can jump on that if you want. It's not going to drastically change how much you're going to improve, but it definitely can benefit you, especially if you're stuck at your desk all day, and say you do it in the morning, you get at the desk all day and you're just stuck in stress in the muscles and the tissues and everything, and you lay on that and you get into extension. It can actually open up that neurology, relax those tissues, and it can feel quite nice. So you can definitely do that periodically throughout your day if you'd like to, but make sure you get one time per day for sure where you get that set amount of time in there that you need to on that day. All right, so there's the neck traction, there's the lower back traction for some of you, and we have some thoracic extension as well. So we're going to go through these on the floor with Dr. Janelle. I'm going to show you all the little things that we got to do with that, where we put the placement, how we get on, how we get off, all of that stuff. So we'll cut to that and we'll go there now. So the first thing we need to know is what position you are in. There's either a low position, a middle position, or a high position. And you were told this in the office when we first showed you how to do your traction. But basically that's referencing where this ridge is going to be placed on your spine. So if you forget, or you don't remember, or you don't know where your position is, make sure to come and ask us at your next visit or the next time we see you, or send us a message and we'll be able to let you know exactly the position. But the three positions, first of all, are low, medium, and high. And so what you do to find these positions is you run your fingers down the back of your neck all the way down until you feel the first big bump that you can feel in the upper back. So Janelle's running her fingers down, and you can feel a big bump there. So that's your reference point. The low position, you're going to drop right below that bump, and that's where this ridge will go. So something like this. The middle position is just above that bump, and that's where the ridge will go, something like that. And then the high position is a few cm above there, so more just underneath the skull here. So basically that's kind of like the bottom of the hairline, if you will, right below there. Okay, so that's where that ridge will go for the high position. Very rare that people are in the high position. There are a few, but it's not too often. Most of you are in that middle position. You find that big bump and you go just above that bump. Some of you in the low position, and a rare few of you in the upper position. Okay, so we're going to go over to the mat and we'll show you how to get on these. All right. Okay, so as far as the Denneroll goes, on the flat part here, it says shoulders this side. So just as a reminder which way to put the Denneroll, make sure you follow shoulders this side. So it's basically going to go under your neck in this position, just like this, right? So basically this ridge is going to go in your position. We'll use the middle position as an example first, because that's what most of you will be doing. So you start by laying down on a firm but comfortable surface. You don't want to be on a bed or a couch or anything like that, because that will sink in, the roll will sink in, and then you won't get any leverage. The leverage comes from your head actually hanging off the ground with your neck as the fulcrum, right? So this is the fulcrum, your neck's going over the top of that, and your head hanging down, so gravity is pulling your head down, and that's creating that curve. So to get started, you basically find that soft or firm but comfortable surface, and you go into what's called supine position, laying face up, and you're going to grab the Denneroll, and you're basically just going to lift up slightly, and you're going to slide it into that position for yourself. Tuck it into there, good. And now as Dr. Janelle relaxes and removes her hands, you can see now that we're creating that curve, and her ponytail is touching the floor a little bit, but otherwise not too much. She's actually hanging quite well. And you can see the shoulders are in this groove here, and she's in the perfect position there. So if your head is resting on the floor, you don't want that. So you may need to either ask us for the larger roll. This is a medium-sized roll. Or what you can try before even doing that is just fold up a towel, maybe 1 or 2 times, put that under the Denneroll. That will lift the Denneroll up slightly and give you a little bit more room for your head to hang down. So once again, you just fold the towel 1 or 2 times, put it under the Denneroll, and then you lay on the Denneroll, and that'll give you some more space for your head to hang down. And this is it. You're just gonna lay here for whatever designated time you have, and once your timer goes off, you're gonna get up. So the way you get up is really important as well, and it shows you in the sheet that you have with the Denneroll. But it's important because the longer you do this, the more it's gonna shut off those tissues around your spine that stabilize and protect your spine. So you don't wanna just jerk yourself up because you could strain some tissues. So instead of jerking yourself up, you wanna maybe lift one knee. You're gonna end up rolling to the side. So Dr. Janelle will show you how to do this here. Maybe you can lift this arm up under your head like that. And you can just hang out in this position for a little while until you kind of gather yourself and you feel good. And then you're gonna use your hand to push up off the floor and stabilize and come on up off of the floor. All right, so that's how you get up off the Denneroll. Now let's go ahead and go and show you just really quickly the low position so you see what that looks like. So go ahead and lie down for me. Okay, so same kind of thing, but she's just gonna pull it down lower. So find the low position for us, Dr. Janelle. Go ahead. A little bit lower, even lower, little tiny bit. There we go. So now you can see that ridge is even a little bit lower, which for her is probably the more accurate position. She's more of a low Denneroll position than a medium position. So now for her, her head is resting on the floor. Because it's gone lower, there's more spine above it to rest on the floor. So for her, we'd either get a bigger roll or we'd lift it up with a towel, okay? And then the high position would be just to lift up a bit. Go ahead and lift up a bit, and then just slide it up into the high position, and right about there would be the high position. So you can see there's a bit of a space in between the shoulders and the Denneroll. Okay, so that's about it for the positions. Next we'll show you how to do the thoracic roll, or sorry, the thoracic block. So basically some of you have the thoracic block, which is basically just, we use a yoga block. And what this does is create some extension in your thoracics and your rib cage area. So some of us are very rounded here, and that's one of the reasons our head ends up going forward. So simply put, you're gonna use this long edge right between your shoulder blades. So come on back a little bit more for me. So you look through here and you know your shoulder blades run here and here. The spine runs right down the middle. So it's super simple. It's just gonna be right through the middle of those shoulder blades. You don't want it like this or like this because your shoulder blades will then block some of that extension. So you're gonna bring it right through the middle of your shoulder blades. And we might direct you on positioning. Some people might be a little bit lower. Some people might be a little bit higher, maybe up into here. For most of you, right through that middle area there where you feel that this is called the scapula, spine of the scapula. So right at the base, or sorry, right at the spine of the scapula is where you have the top of the block there. So basically to get on this is a bit more complicated, but you can basically just lay down on the floor and you're gonna find it and make sure you can adjust it a little bit into the position that you need. And you can use your elbows to rest a little bit. And ultimately you wanna let your elbows go so that you can relax your arms. You can open your arms out a little bit into extension like so. But as you can see, this is creating a lot of extension, opening up that chest, opening up the rib cage, opening up the tissues. Look at the head hanging way down, stretching all these tissues through the neck, into the jaw, even up into the face. So a lot of opening here, a lot of stretching here. This might be quite challenging at first, but most of the people that do this consistently sooner or later really enjoy this because we're stuck in flexion so much of our day. So the more we can get into extension, the better. And this is really going to help so many things. I mean, imagine compressing the lungs and the heart in this forward flexion position. The research very clearly shows when we have increased kyphosis, which is that rounding of the mid-back, we actually have a decreased life expectancy. We live shorter lives. So by doing this consistently, daily, especially if you're stuck at the desk or you're doing flexion type activities, definitely a really, really beneficial thing to be doing. So to get off from this, quite similar to the cervical roll, you're going to take it easy because it's a little higher and roll to the side. But again, all these tissues here are going to be kind of fatigued, if you will. And so you want to take it easy, and Dr. Janelle shows how to roll off here nice and easy. There we go. And you can just hang out in that position. You can bring your arm up under your head if you want, whatever's comfortable for you. All right, so for the lumbar is quite similar to the cervical, and it looks quite similar. This is the bottom position though, so instead of the super flat part being at the bottom, right, you can see the flat parts up at the top. So basically this wedge is going to be going down towards your buttocks, all right? And similarly with the cervical roll, you can see that ridge there. We're not going to really reference the ridge too much unless you're in the low position. Most of you will be in the middle position or slightly above that. But when we lay down, it's more or less going to be in this position here. Ultimately, what's going to happen is when you lay down, your butt will be touching the floor, and then this will be up in that lower spine. So to do this one, you can lay down first, and then you're going to do a bridge. You're going to lift up your pelvis, and then you're going to grab the roll, and you're going to slide it underneath. And then, as you can see, you just relax into that position. You get into a position where your buttocks can get pretty close to kind of kissing the floor into that position there. So that's pretty good there. So now we've got the bottom of the roll really touching the very bottom of the spine, and then the buttock and pelvis there resting on the floor. Now you can leave the knees bent. You can also straighten the legs if you want to get into that position. And then again, you can see how this is really working into that lower back curve. Right? So if we've got a flat lower spine, quite similar to the end of the neck, then this lower back curve will be improved with this. So again, this one's quite intense as well. The lumbar and the thoracic are quite intense compared to the cervical traction. So take it easy. If it's very difficult until a certain point, then go ahead and stop at your limit. And that's one of the most important things with all of the traction, anything that we give you, make sure you listen to your body. Listening to your body is super, super important. And if you aren't listening to your body, you're probably going to get injured. You're going to do something that's going to cause a problem. So make sure you listen to your body. If you have any challenges, definitely let us know. And we'll be here for you to figure out what we got to do. Okay, so for the lower position for the lumbar traction, instead of having the slope going down towards the buttocks, you're actually going to flip this around so that the ridge is going to be going right above the pelvis, as low as you can get it onto the spine above the pelvis. What I mean by the pelvis is you can see these big bones here, and you can feel those. You just reach back, you feel these bumps on the back, and there's a couple of them right in the back here. And you know, a lot of people reference these as the hips, where you can feel the hip bone up here, and that's what this is. This is actually a bone called the ilium. So I'll show you, bring this a little closer here. So this is the ilium, but these are your pelvic bones here. So basically what you're gonna end up doing is you're going to be putting this right, not down here, right, not up here, but right up into there, right above the pelvic bones. All right, so that's the way we're going to do that, because basically if we got some major extension into that lower back, or sorry, flexion into that lower back, we want to get into there to create that extension. Okay, so that's where that's going to go. I will show you with Dr. Janelle here. Make sure my spine's okay. And so go ahead and go straight, and then we'll lay back on it. So she's going to lay back first, and then she's going to bridge, and she's going to slide it underneath. And again, right above those big bones in the pelvis, right above the ilium, so that it actually impacts the spine and creates extension through the spine there. And there you have it. Now, if you want to create even more impact in there, you can straighten the legs, and the weight of the pelvis will then drop down with gravity even more, and that creates a lot of impact into that lower spine. So that's how you get into the low position. And then again, to get off, you roll off to the side nice and slow, and you can remove the roll. And that's it for the low position and the lumbar Denneroll traction. All right, if you have any questions, definitely let us know, and get on it.